Our first story comes from the popular subreddit r/AskReddit. Takes us to the eerie solitude of a secluded park, where a park ranger had a terrifying encounter that still haunts them to this day. I worked as a park ranger for a few summers. It was a great job, but dealing with the public always brought unpredictable situations. I have plenty of crazy stories, but one stands out as the most chilling. One night, I was scheduled to close the park with another ranger. The routine was simple. Drive around, make sure everyone had left, then lock the gates. You had to be thorough. If you missed someone, they'd be locked inside. We got into our truck and started checking the usual spots: the day-use picnic area, both campgrounds, and all the bathrooms. Everything was in order, so we headed back to the gate and ranger station to close up for the night. When we left earlier, the parking lot was completely empty, but as we returned, we noticed a Jeep parked there. This was strange because there hadn't been a single car when we began our rounds. We parked a few spots away and approached the Jeep to tell the driver to leave so we could finish up and go home. As we got closer, we could barely make out a figure sitting in the driver's seat. With only dim street lamps for light, we knew someone was inside. But when we waved and knocked on the window, there was no response, no movement at all. A sense of dread washed over us, and we both stepped back, unnerved by the eerie stillness. We decided to get our boss, who lived across the street. We weren't supposed to bother him at night, but something about this situation felt off. Our boss quickly joined us, and as we crossed the street back to the Jeep, we saw the car door slowly open. Then, to our absolute horror, a shadowy figure crawled out and slipped underneath the vehicle. It was like something out of a horror movie. Our boss called out to the person, telling them to leave and warning that we were calling the police. We could see the figure hiding under the Jeep, near the front tires, completely unresponsive. It was a terrifying sight, something primal in the way they moved, like an animal. When the police arrived, they were just as freaked out as we were. They approached the Jeep with their guns drawn, ready for anything. What they found was someone high on meth, with drugs and a loaded gun inside the vehicle. We had no idea why they had come to the park or what their intentions were, but the whole experience was terrifying. After that night, our boss changed all the closing procedures. We added extra staff for closing shifts and were required to carry mace. The image of that person creeping out of their car and crawling underneath still gives me chills. It was like they were possessed by something dark and sinister. I was 16 and living in Chicago in the infamous South Shore neighborhood. We lived in a basement apartment, aka garden apartment. My mom was sick and was begging me to go to the store a block away to get an Arizona iced tea for her. She gave me the money and I left no problems. The owner of the store knew me and my mom and would watch out for me. Plus, I knew how to handle myself if things got violent. Well, this man, I'm guessing somewhere between 25 to 30, begins following me at the corner of my house. I try to brush it off and hurry to the store. He comes in and follows me throughout the aisles. Eventually, as I'm grabbing the drink from the fridge, he offers to buy it for me. I refuse, telling him I can do it on my own. He doubles down and offers me $60 in food stamps on the condition I do it with him in his car outside. If you don't know street currency, that's 30 USD cash. I refuse and tell him I'm only 16 years old, thinking it would scare him off. He then offers me $100 in food stamps. I tell him there's no way and make sure to chat up the store owner and ask him to call my mom for me to tell her I got what she wanted. That way this guy would know that the owner knew me and that someone was home with me. Rushed home and told my mom about the interaction, and she didn't send me out alone anymore. Should be the end of it, right? Well, jump to a week later. I'm in bed and burning hot. Normally, I take off my clothes and head back to bed. But this time something felt off. I turn on the bedside lamp and I see the same man laying on his side to look through the tiny basement windows right at me. He was pleasuring himself. I screamed, and my mom ran into my room as he was getting up to run off. Thankfully, my mom was fed up with the place anyways, and we moved the next week into a hotel while we searched for a new apartment. Definitely scary. If you made it this far, thank you for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, don't be afraid to drop a like and subscribe on our road to 10,000 subscribers. Give me suggestions for any future topics and stories you want covered.